Millions of people in Puerto Rico were left in the dark after Hurricane Fiona swept through the island over the weekend. The storm left the island in ruins, washing away bridges, neighborhoods, and leaving over 3 million people powerless. A grim reminder of the devastation that Hurricane Maria left behind in 2017.
In addition to the havoc these storms continue to wreak, what has been equally frustrating to many Puerto Ricans is the state of their electric grid, which was crumbling before Hurricane Fiona. Prior to 2021, government-owned Puerto Rico Electric Power Authority oversaw the grid, but private company Luma Energy took over last summer.
With ongoing power outages and the still fragile power infrastructure, many are angry and they want Luma out. Here to talk about how the privatization of the power grid in Puerto Rico is playing out on the island is journalist Angélica Serrano-Román. Angélica, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for the invite.
Tell us more about, first, tell us, what you're seeing, how widespread is the devastation, what's going on?
Right, so we still don't know the extent of the damage caused by Hurricane Fiona, judging by the videos and photos. Several people may have lost their homes. Hurricane Fiona dumped a lot of rain, causing flooding in communities that had never imagined their communities could be flooded. As of today, 74% of the island remains without electricity, and 45% of the population has no water service. And so far, 4 deaths associated with the hurricane have been reported by the government.
So how do we get here with respect to these private companies? I mean, did they really play a role in this crisis? How much of this was unavoidable because of the significance of the weather incidents? And how much is this about bad infrastructure planning and development?
Right. So, our system we'll know that our system is very weak, and most of the power grids in Puerto Rico is not what you see on the mainland, where you see underground wires and substations. So things like improper vegetation management can leave people without power. Puerto Ricans on the island say they knew that the island was not ready for another hurricane. What Fiona did was to show it out there. As you may know, Luma Energy is a private entity that owns the transmission and distribution of power in Puerto Rico. And the hiring of Luma was supposed to make things better, basically lower costs, improve service, and fix problems. So when Luma came, what is called the System Average Interruption Duration Index lowered for a few months. But from then on, from January 2022, the interruption duration has been increasing. There's an independent body in Puerto Rico called the Puerto Rico Energy Bureau. They analyzed Luma's performance in the past year, and they concluded that the company has not improved service. Furthermore, the price of electricity has increased a couple of times the past year. What Luma is saying is that these things take time and people have to cooperate. That's what they say in a press conference. It's important to mention that FEMA officials said last week that only 40%, $40 million have been dispersed from the $90 billion approved for the reconstruction of Puerto Rico's electric grid. What FEMA is saying is that these projects were approved in April, so it's not a surprise that the amount is so little. So that's what we know so far.
Well, it sounds like then maybe it's kind of too soon to tell whether this move, is going to be beneficial in the long run.
Yes, this will be a hard task for Luma to fix years of improper management of the electric grid. And yeah, definitely harder for Puerto Ricans because they're paying more money and they're being left in the dark.
Well, what's the explanation for why it is that folks are paying more money? I mean, I can't help but make some analogy to what the story is coming out of Mississippi, where, again, there was a private contract that was issued that was supposed to help manage some of the water issues that were ongoing in Jackson, Mississippi, but resulted similarly in higher water bills for the people that live there and lower quality of service. In that case, the bills were higher because it was an automated system that seemed to be conveniently malfunctioning in a way that made more profits for the company. In this case, with Luma, to what do you attribute the higher bills?
Yeah, I can't attribute anything, but what Luma is saying is that this will take longer, and they need more time to get these things fixed. Also, one of the challenges I think is in Puerto Rico is that even though they have some money assigned and allocated, this FEMA program is a reimbursement program, meaning they have to complete the projects. And again, their first projects were just approved in April. So LUMA has to present the bills for the work done in Puerto Rico so they can get this reimbursement. And in addition to material costs of rising in Puerto Rico and in the U.S., so it's something that will take longer time.
Well, my understanding is that that problem you just hinted at, and the energy problem in general in Puerto Rico, is made so much worse by the Jones Act, which really compels shipping within the United States be done by American ships, and is especially a problem for Puerto Rico, Hawaii, and some other locations. Can you talk about how that has driven up energy issues, if that is a contributing factor?
Right. So yeah, this Jones Act, it's an old, law that it really just increases everything for Puerto Ricans. Food, everything is higher. It's more pricey because of this law. People in Puerto Rico have asked for this determination, this law, to get ripped, to not, because it's not really helping Puerto Ricans, and Puerto Rico has to export basically most of the food they consume and most of the things they need. So yeah, it's really important for Puerto Ricans.
Interesting. Well, thank you so much for joining us and shedding light on this calamity. We really appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
We'll have more Rising in just a minute.